The Grade Cricketer is a Twitter stream. It's about playing cricket at the grade level.
Boys!
Get a few today, did you?
To be honest with you, I hate grade cricket.
I went into to play for a team called, the name escaped me.
Obviously, sharing's always a big issue for young kids coming into a senior cricket team.
I think it was like a wet sleeve.
A bit of advice to the player. That's what I want.
I refer to the great cricketer here and I'll say, this'll do a little bit early.
Oh, New Zealand got out of Pakistan real quick, didn't they? Plenty going on this week. In fact, there might be more going on than ever before. Zainab Abbas is on the show to talk about Pakistan and New Zealand, that series that didn't happen, and will they ever play cricket ever again? The Australian women and the Indian women are going to start a series on Tuesday. The IPL has resumed. Virat Kohli is going to step down as T20 captain, as is that big alpha, Ravi Shastri. Michael Holding also retires from commentary, and Lasith Malinga is no more. In that he's still alive, but he's just not going to play cricket anymore. This episode is brought to you by Budgie Smuggler. You can use the code CHAMP for free custom design at budgiesmuggler.com. Hashtag AskTGC this week gets into a poem. Oh, yeah. It starts with a poem, and Pez enjoyed it. And I'll speak for him. My name is Ian Higgins. Sam Perry sits across from me. And I him. Pez, hello.
Hello.
Now, a lot of things this week actually have been sent multiple times, but this one more so than ever, perhaps. I'm not sure if you've caught this.
And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister.
That is cold-blooded right away. That's Joe Biden, who... did have a dog called Champ in the White House before Champ passed away, I think. Calling Scott Morrison, well, just actually forgetting his name and then calling him pal. Mr. Prime Minister, that fella from down under.
Yeah. Or did he? Or did he forget? I mean, Joe can be sleepy.
Sleepy Joe?
He can be sleepy.
Sleepy Joe Biden?
But it's just the way he delivered that, the intonation, the cadence, you know. I mean, I'd say we're experts at these things. At a champing or the family thereof.
Yeah. You remember Boris's name?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, pal. I mean, that is it's the American version of champ. It has to be, doesn't it?
But calling someone pal is quite genial in Australia. But in the UK, pal, very passive-aggressive.
Not always.
Well, in the UK, no one really says champ in the UK. They say pal a lot. Pal can be passive-aggressive in the UK. Certainly experienced a couple of pals in my time.
Yeah.
In the US, I'm not so sure. I'm not sure what the cultural significance of pal is.
Well, there'd be a lot of comms advisors feeding into that kind of event.
Like that cultural tug and war.
Well,
Tugger.
Joe Biden's, heading into the White House wherever he's delivering his piece.
Right.
And it is a piece.
Hell of a piece. How's a piece
as far as I can tell. And he'd be getting a brief there. Yeah, talking to this guy, and there'd be a lot of stuff from the State Department on the cultural lexicon around champing, palling, etc.
Sure.
I think the US president knows exactly what he's doing when he pals him like that. Don't call him champ because that's obvious, and also that's the name of your dead dog.
Yeah.
As you
don't bring out the bad memories.
Maybe they said champ, call him champ, and he scratched that out and said, no, that's the name of my now deceased dog.
Yeah,
champ. He's dead now.
Stop saying that, Mr. President.
But pal is a good substitute. They say, like Lincoln's speech 7 years ago. If that went through the State Department now, that would be crossed out.
Yeah, trim it down.
Exactly.
30 seconds, make it a TikTok video.
Exactly.
Got to keep that shit tight, Abraham. Champ.
Championship. Yeah. So, thanks for sending that to us.
Hey, hell of a start,
everyone.
Hell of a start. Well, it's also getting into some American areas recently on TJC because on last week's episode of hashtag AskTGC Fridays on Patreon, patreon.com/Grade Cricketer, we dissect George Bush's 9/11 pitch, which was, it wasn't like pitching 9/11, like he wasn't sort of pitching the idea for it. Was he?
Who are you talking to?
He threw out the first pitch at the Yankees game after 9/11, and we dissected that bad boy and tell you there was a lot of alpha power plays going on there. That pitch went fucking straight down the middle.
Yeah, that was a good pitch.
I really enjoyed talking about that. That was good fun.
Yeah, and then someone's subsequent to that showed us Steve Smith's pitch at
what
an MLB game.
I haven't seen this.
Or was it women's baseball? But yeah, they invited him. He was in America. You know, when he went and have a beer by himself in New York.
That's the reason he went there.
Sandpaper.
Yeah,
still getting papped.
Yeah,
he
He threw the first pitch.
He threw the first pitch, and he fucking rifled it.
Did he?
It went through the I was going to say the bird's glove. It went through. But then I remembered I'm on air.
Yeah.
Went through the female catcher's glove.
Right. No mercy.
We can imagine now Steve Smith.
Fuck, I need to watch that.
There's only one way Steve Smith would be throwing that.
Yeah, just to get some anger.
I don't think he'd know how to throw it.
He's getting some sandpaper anger out.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never seen this before.
Yeah, it goes through the glove.
Jesus Christ.
He could have put a hole through the glove. I don't know. I didn't look very closely.
Sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Grey Cricketer. If that's the kind of gear you want. Now, pairs on to much more serious things. The New Zealand call off New Zealand, the world champions, in fact. They call off their ODI tour of Pakistan due to, and I quote, a specific and credible threat. If I may, New Zealand Cricket Chief Executive David White said, what I can say is that we were advised this was a specific and credible threat against the team. We had several conversations with New Zealand government officials before making the decision, and it was after informing the PCB of our position that we understand a telephone discussion was conducted between the respective prime ministers. Unfortunately, given the advice we'd received, there was no way we could have stayed in the country. And obviously Pakistan are not happy about this. In fact, PCB Chairman Ramiz Raja said, walking out of the tour by taking a unilateral approach on a security threat is very frustrating, especially when it is not shared. Which world is New Zealand living in? New Zealand will hear us at ICC. I think that was just a tweet that he did, but still, that's the PCB Chairman speaking. This was... I suppose in lots of ways, this came hot on the heels of what happened at Old Trafford in terms of India leaving the UK on the back of COVID scares. This is a very different situation, but on the same time, it all just feels the state of international cricket, I suppose, is that no one plays anymore.
Yeah, cricket feels very tenuous at the moment, generally, and I think over the last 2 years, there's a pretty reasonable umbrella excuse for all of that, which is COVID. This one actually isn't that at all. This one harks back to issues that have been ongoing for a really long time. It seems fair to say that the PCB, I mean, the quote here, this is from Osman Samiuddin's piece in Cricinfo. He's a great read on Pakistan cricket especially, but many other things as well, that they're in shock and disbelief. Mm-hmm. They're not happy, especially because it might, that cancellation might set a precedent for the future as well.
Yeah.
Pakistan taking a long time to get back to hosting cricket in their own country.
Yeah.
What sort of impact is this going to have on England's tour, which is coming up soon?
Yeah.
Men's and women's.
3 weeks, I think. Yeah.
And Australia's going in there in February. And you know what Ramiz Raja said, and they're complex issues, I think. Particularly for two blokes sitting in Melbourne. There are things where you can bring in particular views about what the security levels might be according to our standards or what we think is right and wrong. Mm-hmm. But then you get people who've been over there saying never felt safer.
Yeah.
I mean, we sort of preceded this conversation off air, realising that there's probably a lot of cultural illiteracy from us, and political illiteracy from us. So we're really lucky to get Zainab Abbas on, who covers Pakistan cricket with aplomb and has done for a number of years, and she's been kind enough to join us. So here she is. It's such a great pleasure to have Zainab Abbas with us. We met briefly in 2017. We were just talking about this off air. I remember it. She doesn't at all. But I promise it happened. I think I had about 33 Twitter followers at the time, and Zainab had 3 million. So she's definitely the alpha here, but more importantly, Zainab's hugely successful sports presenter, working everywhere around the world, done the 100 recently, done stuff with Sky, obviously huge in Pakistan as well. And she's been kind enough to give this guy who claims to have met her a few years ago some time to shed some important light on the New Zealand-Pakistan situation. So Zainab, welcome to the Grade Cricketer podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your lovely introduction as well. I'm really looking forward to being here.
Zainab, there'll be a few very basic views about this situation in places like New Zealand, Australia, and the UK. And that if there's a security threat against a team that's gone to Pakistan, that therefore New Zealand was right, to pull out. I guess what I want to first up is how appropriate is that view in your view, and how was the news received in Pakistan, and what's the view on the decision New Zealand have taken at home where you are?
I think, Sam, there is generally, people are very dejected and disappointed with the way things have gone. Of course, remember, this is years of hard work that Pakistan has sort of put in to get teams back to touring Pakistan. And I don't know if you're aware, but in the last 5 years, they've managed to host South Africa, and that is for a full-fledged test series as well as some T20s. Then we've also had Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe, West Indies. There have been, and of course the PSL. I can't miss the PSL because you have a lot of international players who've been playing in Pakistan, and many of them are from England, New Zealand, Australia, and they've had great experiences. We had Alex Hales last year. We've had Shane Watson. It's been a sort of a process that's taken a while to get cricket back to where it was, and that's largely, thankfully, because things have stabilized within the country, and not to forget the foolproof security arrangements that Pakistan has had. So just a little bit of background on where things were standing at that particular time. As far as this particular series is concerned, New Zealand was very happy with the security arrangements. They've got a security consultant he's Reg Dickerson is his name, and he's quite popular in the world in terms of providing that kind of consultancy wherever there are any security related matters. So and everything was clear, everything was good to go. I think New Zealand was happy with the arrangements as well. Again, these discussions are not have not been the kind who've just taken place. They've been taking place for a very long period of time. So the board has really put in that effort to get these teams to agree to be here and sort of see that they've managed to successfully host every other team without any incident or any kind of breach of security happening. So I think it was the perfect platform in that sense to be hosting a team like New Zealand. Remember, they were touring after 18 years. So I feel that is why people are extremely disappointed, because it was a very much a last minute thing where they received a threat. After that, I think what people are disappointed by is the fact that it was a rather unilateral decision. It just happened so quickly. I just reached the ground. I was ready to do my studio show, and we just heard that everything is off. So that's how quickly things happened. But they were there for 6 days or 4 days, if I'm not mistaken. They were practicing. They were given presidential state level of security, and they were giving statements that they feel very safe. The stance of the board, and I guess just generally the public here, is that if there was something, if there was a threat, then that is something that needs to be shared with our intelligence services as well. The reason is because civilians could be civilians within Pakistan. Their lives are equally important, and if there was something happening, then everybody deserves to know. So I think just the nature of the way things have gone, and in terms of like the misinformation that's been circulating around, that's the disappointing part. There's always room for dialogue in cricket, I feel, like, especially when you have sent out your team there. That means you trust the security system. So I think that's the part which is disappointing, that there was literally no dialogue, and within 24 hours, they just wrapped up and left.
Can we get a bit of a timeline of the events of the mornings? I know you were just saying there it sort of happened so quickly, and you were on your way to the ground, and then by the time you get there, it's like, oh, we're not even going to have a toss or whatever, But when did the PCB first learn that something wasn't quite right with New Zealand side?
Well, it was just the night before. So from what I hear, there's obviously a time difference as well. So all these discussions were happening the night before. And what we heard was that the board said that they have, the New Zealand Cricket Board and their chief, David White, he said that they've been advised by their government to sort of pull out. I think Pakistan stepped in and wanted to take it to a government level where the two prime ministers spoke as well. So Imran Khan and Jacinda Ardern, that was the hold off. They were waiting because Imran Khan had gone for some other, he wasn't within the country. He was touring some other country, and he had to make that conversation from that country. So that was the slight delay. Otherwise, they were ready to pull out that very minute, which is why we were not aware. Like I said, we were, I got ready as I normally do, just ended up there and found out literally 5 minutes before we were going on air that it's been called off. So that is the timeline that you're looking at. It's literally within 24 hours. There was nothing there before. Like I said, up until I would say 36 hours before, they were practicing at the ground. So if there was a threat, they wouldn't have left. If there was something at that point, they wouldn't have left the hotel, but they did. So yeah, I think everybody was, like I said, everybody was shocked, and like I said, there's it just kind of sets a bad precedent. That's what everyone. Nothing happened yet. We're at the receiving end. Yeah.
I can hear your frustrations, Zainab, as we talk about it. I had all these other questions lined up about how the Pakistan players might feel about this at the moment, but I want to just ask another one. I just note when you were talking at the start, you were sort of you were wondering about the timing of New Zealand pulling out, and then also that notion of them doing it unilaterally without sharing the information with Pakistan, which might have been helpful if there were civilians who could be under threat, for example. It just sounds to me, and I suppose I'm trying to glean some of the feel online as much as that's worth, whatever that's worth, that, there is some disappointment about the way it might have been handled from New Zealand's side. I mean, can you give some idea to that? Should New Zealand have shared that information? Is that the protocol, or is there an understanding for why New Zealand's done what they've done? I'm just trying to get an understanding over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, when a team is touring, there's certain protocols that you follow to get the team to be here. There are security clearances. There are lots of other protocols that you follow, and only after all of that is cleared is when the team is given the green signal to tour. So I feel like there should be some protocols of leaving as well. It shouldn't be done in a haste way, the way we saw it was done over here. So the board stance is, at least the PCB stance is, that they didn't expect that kind of intelligence information to be shared with them, but it could have been shared at a government level with the government, because that is what they were claiming, that they received something at a government level, and something that we were not aware of, or our services here were not aware of. So I think it's just they were asking for a little bit of more transparency, so that we can help mitigate those events or those circumstances. I mean, I can tell you that Reg Dickerson, the security consultant, has gone on record to say a few times that the security in Pakistan is one of the best in the world, which is why you've been able to have cricket in the last 5 years without any incident or anything else of that sort. So, you're talking about, like, we know how we get to the ground. There's always like 9 security checkpoints. There's an extensive amount of research and preparation that goes behind every tour. So I think the general perspective from our side is that, of course, lives matter. Everybody understands that. There's nothing more important than that. But transparency and a bit more information sharing was the least that Pakistan deserved. Because let's not forget, when you talk about diplomacy between boards, Pakistan has been one of the countries that has stood by different boards in various different times. I mean, I can give you an example. You look at New Zealand, right? You look at New Zealand. Remember what happened with them, with all the Christchurch attacks. I mean, it was devastating. It was absolutely devastating. Bangladesh was touring New Zealand at that time. The players were there at that time. Pakistan still went after that and toured New Zealand, despite everything that happened. Pakistan traveled to New Zealand in the middle of a pandemic and stayed in quarantine for 14. So I'm just giving these examples to say that leverage should be given at some point when you see that a team is trying to help, that a country is trying to help another country out. So I think that's where the disappointment is. It's more about the way it was done. You could always reach a solution where, you could say, okay, we could cut down the tour. They were coming for 3 one-days and 5 T20s. There are so many solutions that you can reach. It was just the way it was done, which was, I think, really, really disappointing. And also not realizing what kind of precedent it sets for other teams to follow. Pakistan had a very packed schedule as well looking ahead. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask on that. I mean, after India pulled out of that 5th test match at Old Trafford, there was all this talk around, the ECB had lost like 40 million pounds or whatever, or 30 million pounds or whatever that number was. And I wonder if the money is less of the issue in the first instance, like whatever the PCB have lost from this one series. The fear is actually it will compound because England men and women are supposed to be there in 3 weeks' time. Australia's supposed to go there in February. All of these compounding elements. Is that the main fear now, that this is going to lead to another, 10 years in the wilderness for Pakistan cricket?
Absolutely. I think more than the financial loss, of course, that's something which is there. Like I said, it has a dominoes effect, so to speak, because, New Zealand, like I said, they were touring after 18 years. So this was an important tour for Pakistan and, its image and everything that they've been trying to work at for the last, 5 or 6 years. So, and the other thing is, the intelligence, whatever I'm reading, the intelligence that shared that threat with New Zealand, it's the same intelligence which is used by cricket as well, Australia as a country and England as well. So let's say if we're still waiting to hear on the England news, but if they do pull out, then, you can, I think Australia will follow suit as well. And Australia was supposed to come for a full-fledged tour. It was not even a small tour. They were coming for like 2 test matches, a couple of, white ball games as well. So it was a full-fledged tour that they were looking at. And these discussions have been going on with our CEO, Wasim Khan, for the past, 1.5 years or so. So where does it's one decision, but where does it leave Pakistan cricket? People feel people feel really frustrated at the fact that so much hard work has been put into putting Pakistan into the position it is in, where they are able to host countries, and because of a certain threat, this is where things are at. So I think that has been the part which has let down a lot of people.
You just mentioned, Zainab, where does it leave Pakistan cricket? I know it's only been a few days since this actually happened. Do you have any sense about what the plan is from, Ramiz Raja and the PCB to, I presume, reinstall confidence in those who are due to tour Pakistan soon, but also just the cricket world beyond? Do you know what they're going to try and do?
I think the thing is that they, in this meantime, I know that they were trying to contact other cricket boards to come and play in Pakistan, because the other problem with not having any cricket is that Pakistan goes into the World T20 World Cup without any preparation, because they were supposed to play 7 T20s before the World Cup with New Zealand, 5 T20s with New Zealand and against New Zealand, and 2 against England. And before this, we had a series against West Indies in West Indies where 3 matches out of 4 were rained off. So Pakistan has literally had no practice whatsoever going into the World Cup, which makes them extremely strong contenders, by the way, because that is how Pakistan rolls. Without it, you just never know. Yeah, so the perfect circumstances for Pakistan going into a World Cup. But yeah, so that is also an element there. I think the way the board is approaching is, I know for a fact that there's a lot of back end effort being taken place to sort of get some other teams in. If that's not possible, because it could be a big probability, getting somebody to come last minute with all the logistical issues and so many other things, that might not happen. We have a local tournament happening, which is our National T20 Cup. It's like the NatWest T20 Blast in England, or just a T20. So they're going to get all their players involved with that and try and play competitive cricket. But I know that their stance on playing on a neutral venue is very strong, because you see, once that happens, then there are so many other countries that could just turn around and be like, actually, so-and-so played in the UAE, why can't we play there as well? It sets you back by 5 years. So I think that suggestion of playing in I was reading Michael Vaughan's tweet. I think he said that, England could play in UAE. I know for a fact that as of now, Pakistan is very firm on that. So if that means, waiting it out or whatever that means, it basically means that they're not going to agree to play at a neutral ground. So it really is about, focus on trying different things and then seeing how things unfold.
I know he was probably your colleague at some point, Senator, but Vaughan always seems to be very helpful on these kind of matters, particularly when it comes to diplomacy between countries. Zainab Abbas, it's a huge pleasure to have had you on. We really appreciate your time. And, we're sort of awed to be talking to a superstar such as you. Thanks so much for giving us that information that there's no way two idiots from Melbourne in Australia could glean for all the way from Lahore. So you're always welcome on the show anytime. Hopefully we catch you next time.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you very much to Zainab Abbas there for her time. Now, Pez, in other more interesting matters for us, for a comedy show.
Now we're talking. Well, Imran Khan's great cricket.
That's true. That's true. Matthew Hayden and Vernon Philander are now coaches of Pakistan ahead of the T20 World Cup. If I can read you more quotes from Ramiz Raja,
please.
My favourite source this week. He said, Matthew Hayden is Australian and has experience of winning World Cups and was a great player himself. It might be very beneficial to have an Australian occupying the dressing room. And Pakistan, of course, can win the World Cup. They just need to improve their performances an extra 10%. Vernon Philander, I know very well, and he understands bowling and has a great record against Australia. What?
Well, yeah. Look, at the end of the day, so Hayden and Philander, they're not the coaches of Pakistan. They're coming
not the
in as
coaches.
Consultants, batting and bowling respectively.
Right.
And you can only put this down to this being quite clearly two presence-based selections, right? Mm-hmm. We see this with coaches. It's not a new thing, but it does seem to still be kicking around, Sharks Callis. Don't think he's coached a team in his life. Put an England kid on him, you beauty. Feel good. Look at the presence.
So good.
Will the runs sort of rub off? Will they rub off people like this? You see the forearms, you see the tan, Ricky Ponting.
Yep.
Hairs. I mean, he does have some communication and educational skill, it would seem.
And some coaching cred in the bank.
Exactly. Can these guys talk or communicate or educate? Maybe. I don't know. Who cares? Look at the stats on it.
Yeah, also, look at the shoulders on Matthew Hayden. You tell me that ain't getting you a semi-final?
Ramiz Raja just saying,
give me a semi.
Look what he's achieved. Look at him in the dressing room. Maybe that, some of that will sort of rub off on us by osmosis. Maybe Hayden, will get the guitar out with the Pakistan boys. Come here, Shaheen, Babar, Fakhar Zaman, Fawad, Akubaron is a little tune by a man by the name of Johnny Williamson. Hey, True Blue. There he is, Shaheen Shah Afridi, playing a bit of True Blue.
They're going to reappropriate it. True Green for that Pakistan.
Yeah, I don't think Hayden would let that.
Hayden
will be, teaching Pakistan True Blue culture.
Whilst
also
saying just see ball, hit ball.
Just walk at him.
Yeah. What a see ball? Walk at him. It is. I can imagine if I was a coach trying to reach like the top echelons of the game for national teams, and
You'd be really happy for Hayden.
I'd be stoked that like guys would give me an opportunity. Guys who could do it themselves. Hey, how many fucking tests did you play? That's what you can walk in there and say.
Hey, Dos. They said. Rami said,
Hey, Dos.
Well, first, they interviewed a whole bunch of other guys as well.
They would have done. Their due diligence.
We asked the same questions. Dos, give us your vision. Give us your philosophy.
Yeah.
Give us your methodology.
That's right.
For coaching. And he just went fucking crickinfo.com, search Matthew Hayden. Also, let me play True Blue.
Yeah, nicknames. DOS.
Here's my fucking cookbook. You see that recipe? Success.
Yeah.
Runs. 10K of them. Bitch.
Reek of runs. 10K, bitch.
He talks like a streetman from Harlem.
Give me the fucking job. I'll get you used to a semi.
Where's me fucking dinner? Oh, wait, that's Tony Carroll.
And Vernon Philander, he did well against
Hayden,
Australia.
Hayden is Australian, so that'll rub off.
So they've won World Cups.
We need a bowling coach. Well, get someone who did well against Australia.
Yeah.
Quite simple.
Hey, get this guy who used to be good. Any coaching? Don't worry about that. Crickinfo.com, bitch.
And yet...
Who are you talking to?
And yet, I don't know. Despite this, sardonic analysis of Pakistan's coaching recruitment, I'm going to fast forward you a month's time. Pakistan v Australia T20 World Cup.
Yeah.
Who you got your money on?
Pakistan.
Me too. We get the best coaches.
That's right. That's right. Hey, good luck to him.
Good luck.
Good luck to him. Vernon Philander's never really been the same after Josh Butler rocked him behind the stumps, Remember that time when they were playing a test match there? Time to get the fuck out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
Scariest man in world cricket, Josh Butler, with the kindest eyes.
You don't want to get on the wrong side of Josh's tirades.
That's right.
Give you the tip.
I'll give you the tip. Thank you for that. Just the tip. Australia women v India women pairs. Now, that's a series that starts on Tuesday.
What was that?
I don't know. That starts on Tuesday. They've got, it's a points-based system, as they all should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, multi-format.
Multi-format, 7 games, 3 ODIs, 3 T20s, 1 day-night test match. That, as you know, is going to be played at Metricon Stadium, the home of Test cricket on the Gold Coast. They played a warm-up match, these two teams, on Saturday in Brisbane. And both of these teams have been in quarantine. Obviously, the Indians had come over from, actually, coincidentally, India. And the Australians but all of them had to do quarantine. So they've been out of quarantine for about 15 minutes, and they played this game. And Australia won that very important match, 9 for 278, beating India 7 for 242.
This wasn't part of the series. They played against each other.
They played against each other as a friendly.
They're both warming up to play against each other.
Yeah.
That's
what?
Yeah.
I guess who else are you going to play?
I guess who fucking rules are out the window with all cricket at the moment.
Yeah, it is a bit like that.
They were wearing training kit, Australia, weren't they? And India were wearing proper kit. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be good if one team was wearing whites and the other team was wearing T20s?
Yes, I would have tuned in.
I don't even know if this game was televised, as none of the Australian games are anymore. Haynes, Lanning, Mooney, 50s.
This series every ball will be on TV.
And this series is going to be good as well.
Yeah.
Because these two teams have got a bit of history. Poonam Yadav got 3 for in that warm-up game as well.
They can't play Poonam. They can't play a googly.
That's part of the that's part of the history of these two teams. Obviously, it sort of culminated in the 2019 World Cup final, which feels fucking forever ago because it was like the last thing that happened before COVID. 86,000 people at the MCG for that final. But then in the repechage of the World Cup, remember Yadav, she took 5 or 6 for?
Yeah, they couldn't play Bozan Quet.
Yeah, what?
Bozy.
Oh, the Bozy, yeah. Okay. You're talking Clay Grimmett stuff there.
That's it. He was a good bowler.
Well, according to Bradman, got him out 10 times. Enough of that. Can't go into that fucking footage again. How did that guy get Bradman out 10 times? Look him up.
Yeah,
look it up
Bradman.
on YouTube. I'll go to a live show, which we don't do anymore. Sorry, just one big continuous thought stream here. The first ODI pairs is in Mackay on Tuesday. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Any danger of some fucking cricket in this country?
Well, that's true.
So it's all on TV.
Yeah.
I'll watch anything. But this is going to be good. I'm going to say, Australia have a couple of players out. No Jess Johnson, injury. No Megan Stewart, time with wife following baby. Congrats and welcome, baby Riley. Delissa Kimmis is retired. Taylor Vlamick, she bowls wheels. She's ruled out until the T20 series. So we've got Dr. Georgia Redmayne, friend of the show. She's in the squad. Hopefully debuts for Australia. And
as with Stella Campbell.
Yeah, indeed.
Who's uncapped. She played in this game as well, got 3 for.
Right. I'm a big fan of multi-format series. I'm sorry to say, it feels like you're sort of saying I'm looking forward to watching Brazil, but it's good to see Pez back. It's good to see Elise Perry. It's sort of meant to, it's more hipster to sort of, it's not so much ignore Perry, but sort of go into the lesser known players of the Aussie women's side.
Sure.
But Pez is back. She hasn't played for a while. She's going to take a new pill. I'm just feeling real side mouth today about everything.
Well, summer's around the corner.
Yeah,
I mean, it's literally 12 degrees in Melbourne. It's fucking pissing down outside, but summer's here, baby.
Both things can be true.
Yeah.
Talking about Melbourne.
Yeah.
And she's been out for a while, Pez. And I think champions kind of, when they spend some time out, there's compensation, wickets and runs in the offing. And I want to see it.
I was thinking because she did the hamstring, right, in the World Cup, and then she didn't play in the final.
She did a shoulder as well, didn't she?
I think it was a hamstring, though. I remember she pinged a hamstring at the Junction Oval.
Body's getting creaky.
Well, that always was. But, like, isn't that like a theme in, like, every... like major tournament and Mighty Ducks movies, where
that was a major tournament though.
that was the biggest one.
Changed jerseys half time.
Is that legal? No.
United did it.
What?
In Southampton.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, we're like the star player misses out on the thing.
Yeah.
Like, can the team still come together and complete the project kind of thing? And that's what it felt like with Perry. With Elise Perry in the last one. But yeah, no, you're right. Good to see her back, I suppose.
I guess, on balance.
Oh, yeah, so I think about it.
She's in the way of a couple of other players.
Yeah, weighing things up. Yeah, get out of the way. It's like Ronaldo, you know? Hey, Sharma for India as well. I think Sharma might be, you got to look up these kind of stats, but she's like an absolute gun bat. I was going to say she's world number one bat at the moment. She might be, but I think that also might be wrong. She got 49 in that warm-up game, not out. But isn't she like 19? She's an absolute gun. She just got stacks of runs in England when they just played over there recently.
Shafali Verma. Is that who you're talking?
Sorry.
Shafali Verma.
Sorry,
I don't
Verma,
think she's extremely, she's like 17 or something, but a total gun.
Sorry, what's that Sharma? I think of Rohit Sharma. Verma, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, she'll be good to watch. Yeah, India's got some, they want to square up with what happened in 2020. So, and I've just got here, Perry is Brazil.
Alan Brazil. Pez, in other Australian news, while we're here in the vicinity, there was an article that Russell Jackson broke. Was it yesterday? He actually wrote 2 articles over the weekend, I think it was actually, about Tom Wills. Can you give some background about who Tom Wills is, apart from an AFL context?
Tom Wills is a storied, sort of mythological but real,
it's a real person.
Figure in Australian sports law and culture. So Tom Wills is a storied Australian cricketer. He was the person who took the first Australian team from Australian shores to England to play cricket. That was an Aboriginal team in 1868, but he's also the inventor of Australian rules football as well.
Yes, and there's a statue of him outside the MCG.
Yeah, that's right. Umpiring a match between these private schools. I'm going to get so upset if I get this wrong, but I think it's Scotch versus Melbourne Grammar.
Right, okay. Sounds posh. Anyway, it's been revealed, I suppose, that Tom Wills participated in massacres of Indigenous people, which is quite alarming in the sense that how celebrated Tom Wills is, as Pez rightly points out there. There's also more to that story about his father was murdered, and was what's the word I'm thinking of? Like not retribution, I suppose it's kind of that.
He was avenging his father's death,
right?
I mean, so Russell wrote this piece, and he's done a follow-up one as well, where basically, when you write pieces like this, you get a lot. History can be subjective, and he's got a lot of academics and historians saying this has the ring of truth because the whole thing is based upon a chance. Or chancing upon a piece written in the Chicago Tribune, where Tom Wills is quoted as essentially admitting and describing his killing of Aboriginal people, and some of the triggers for that were avenging his father's death on the cattle station of on the station of Cullen Laringo in Queensland there, and there was went into detail about one of the Aboriginal men having stolen his Isengari jacket. Isengari is a team that you and I have played for. It's a really important story, if nothing else, because it shines a light on how much silence there is around frontier wars in Australia in the 1800s, late 1700s. All through the 1800s, 300 odd massacres through the 1800s, 288 of them, led by colonials. And in Australia, there's a pretty broad conspiracy of silence and denial and whitewashing that can happen with these things. So shining a light on it is very uncomfortable for a lot of people, but important to do. We can build myths off people like Tom Wills and national stories when there isn't truth out there. He had a tragic life afterwards as well, you know. And, you know, people so often say that Australia was settled and these things happen with settlers, you know, but I've always found settler to be such, you know, one of the great euphemisms.
Right.
Because, you know, like dispossession through war was part of the colonial process, and Australia will do well to start telling these stories, learning more about these stories. Land was stolen, people were murdered. It's had an apocalyptic impact on First Nations people. It's a dark secret that permeates the psyche. So Russell's done really well to shine a light on just, you know, one of these aspects. And it's only one of many, many that took place.
It was interesting that Cricket Australia's statement, which I don't have in front of me, so I'll paraphrase poorly, but let's see what happens. Was that part of the statement was that this, to the core, this is about, you know, facing up to who we are. And I thought that was an interesting term, and I agree with that. And I wonder, I guess I hope that that's not just lip service, because that's something that even in my own life in the last couple of years, I've thought about a lot, especially in relation to Indigenous peoples and my own family and like presence as being in this country in and of itself. So, you know, I hope that's true, that the more people do think about who we are being like, yes, the settler people, like we just come over here and just, settle in here, boys.
Yeah.
And that's
settled.
That's the greatest fallacy of all. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess my point being, I just hope that, but a lot of people do actually think about the origins of that, because there's a whole whitewashing of that history. To move on to talk about Tim Paine, who's had successful neck surgery via the throat, which sounded remarkably graphic. And also Tony Armstrong says that he has a bulging dick, which was funny.
Was it a bulging disc or bulging dick?
And it sparked basically the whole conversation around Payne's surgery was who's going to be captain next.
Yeah, I sort of
bit harsh.
You know, yeah. Look, I think Tim Paine has done a good job as skipper, you know, and I think he's going to be, and he's still got some stories to write with it. I'm sure he'll go on for as long as he can.
We don't play anymore, but
yeah, that's right. As in, you know, when you muck around with the Monopoly version of cricket and stuff like that. Yeah. Mucking around.
Just mucking around a bit.
I wonder what I would have done in these games if we were actually playing.
Yeah.
No, he's done a really good job.
Gets out the mat thing, playing test match cricket.
That's right.
Oh, Cummins is bowling. Yeah.
He's written Paine on the back of one of them in like a little Sharpie pen, the keeper. Yeah, he's done a really good job, and I think he's still got more stories to write. But I sort of felt a little bit sorry for him, because like I think there would be a lot of other players where it's like, oh, you know, they're having neck surgery where they're going in through the front into the throat. And he's got to come back from that. And we'll be like, oh, Jesus, you know, like, are they going to be right for the Ashes? And I think for us, like for most people in Australia, like, oh, yeah, is he back? Or who'd come in? Or Inglis or what?
I'd probably go Carey. Maybe Inglis. Right. Yeah, I guess Wade can do a job.
Yeah. It was funny.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I agree. I think Payne's done I think the consensus would be across the board that Payne's done a great job, you know, since coming in from the position that he was in. And there's obviously the whole story which everyone knows about, that he was going to take a job up with Kookaburra and he was just about out of the game, and then he ends up captaining Australia for probably the best part of 4 years. But his legacy is interesting. We were just talking about this before, like, and I'll tell you things you already know because you're part of that conversation. But like his legacy is interesting, Paine, and it's even weird that I'm talking about his legacy because he just had throat surgery. And it's like, will he play? He's like 100% sure he's going to play, but it's like, what about his legacy? But it's funny because, you know, it's not his fault that Australia hasn't played in the last year, unless he was the one who decided not to go to South Africa. Nah, boys, I'm just not going. But like he has been he's been the captain of, you know, a couple of losing series. He had a great result in England, but sort of tied in with Langer's reign as well, isn't it? A little bit. It's a weird time where it feels in between like the Michael Clark era where Australia won World Cups and we were number one again, into the Smith era where Smith was like rising to dominance, and then obviously sandpaper happened, and now it's like, it is like stopgappy a little bit. That might be harsh. It just feels a bit stopgappy between like that and whatever's next, which I personally hope is like the Pat Cummins era and like what that might be for Australian cricket. But so it's just this in-between time where like, well, we haven't really done anything. We've just sort of like righted the ship a bit and we don't play anymore. That's weird. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's my main takeaway from Tim Paine's neck surgery.
I hope his neck surgery goes.
I went
Apparently,
well.
it's gone well,
Yeah.
and he'll be back. And there's no. I think there was a bit of rabble rousing in the press about whether he'd be right for the Ashes because it's surgery
Something to
on
talk
his
about.
Gregory Peck, and and CA was a bit like he's going to be fine, and he's made it really clear that he's going to be right to go.
Especially when the Ashes is cancelled. All good.
Yeah, yeah. I just mean right as in he can if there was a game, he would be in the team.
Yeah,
but.
Yeah.
We don't know whether that's going to happen.
How's it going to be for the boat race, though, after the first test?
Just quickly, he goes, there was a CA statement late last week saying Earl Eddings had unanimous support for a second term as well, so he's the chairman of Cricket Australia.
Right.
He'd been seeking a second term for a while. I think he's going to end up getting like 1 term and 1 year or something, which is actually not abnormal. Really.
1 term and 1 year.
Yeah, that's. I was talking to Dan Breddick, who was very helpful with me off air about that, and he was like, it's pretty normal, but it's been... Like, Eddings was actively opposed by New South Wales and Queensland. One thing about all this chat about Earl Eddings, he goes, and like, we've talked about this off air as well.
Can I also say I know fuck all about Earl Eddings?
Yeah, but this is what I was going to say. Like,
okay.
I think journos who've picked this up have, although it's an important issue, who is literally the most, powerful person in the game.
Right. In Australia.
Haven't really articulated the importance of the chair. How does that impact me?
Yeah, that's why I don't know anything about him.
What's in it for me?
Yeah.
What does a chair do? But then when you think about club cricket or whatever, you do know your club president, and you might know exactly what they do day to day and how they make things run,
Yeah. Also, because if 5 grades win, they put money behind the bar.
But you end up knowing after a while if your club president's any good. The club's going well, everyone's happy.
Sure. Yeah.
Or, a bit of money behind the bar. Oh, here's a new player. How did he come to the club? Sorry.
Yeah.
Gideon Haig wrote a good piece, though, last week, sort of saying he has had 13 years on the board. He's been there through the player MOU dispute, which didn't go well. He was there at Sandpaper. He was there for Kevin Roberts' ill-fated tenure. Gideon points out the comms team's been stripped bare, staff confidence and morale. He's like, I don't know, how that really impacts me. But, the Australia's barely played. The Ashes isn't assured. Our government relations is poor. And so there's pressure. There's pressure on Eddings, and I think they've decided that he will get his second term so long as he anoints a successor. And so that's going to happen. That process is going to happen in the next few months.
I find the board stuff really interesting in cricket especially because I think in football, for instance, in like the Premier League or even actually like rugby and AFL clubs, people know and care more about the board because there seems to be more of a financial transaction between, I suppose in those instances, there's like transfers where you can like literally buy and sell players. So I think there's interest in like who Eddie Maguire is running Collingwood Football Club or who FSG is running Liverpool Football Club or the Glazers or whatever, because it results into like, I want my team to be able to afford to buy the players and to run properly so we're making money and everything's good. Whereas with the National Cricket Board, it seems a little bit more opaque in the sense of I don't really care what you do because as long as I can still turn up for my one day of the test a year at whatever ground of the city I live in, then all good. And like we'll just breed some more players. It's a breeding program now, like horses.
How's the breeding program going? Have we got good players? Putowski's coming through. Yeah. He's a good stallion.
Yeah. Pattinson and Hoff.
Yeah, pick him up at market there.
You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like the interest in like boards, like I would guess that of the Australian audience that listen to this, 90% wouldn't give a fuck about who Earl Eddings is or the chairman or the board or anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't impact them. To your point, it doesn't impact them.
That's why journalism is really important, though, because I think a lot of people in power would like it just like that. You don't know who they are. You don't think that they matter so that they can go and do what they want. I mean, really, the board is really important in Cricket Australia. They set the vision.
No,
of
of course.
I know that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems more and more like executives in sport they're just selling the TV show. What can we get for the TV rights? We're good to go.
Absolutely.
This is the TV show. Here's my main characters.
Yeah.
Picked up a couple stallions at market.
Yeah.
And here's what I want you to pay for the show.
Yeah, there's something pure. There's a purity about sport, and that you can tangibly see who is good and who's bad. With like a board, like I don't know who's good.
Yeah.
On a board.
Imagine if you could live stream board meetings.
No, thank you.
Oh, right.
Little ticket down the bottom. Tweets coming through.
You know, they used to have the worm in political debates.
Sure.
That sort of shit.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. I get the sense, though, that, like, the smartest people in business and operations in general aren't drawn to, like, no. Yeah, they're not running, like, professional sports organizations. They're making, they're fracking the earth, basically.
Yeah, you'd be into fracking, wouldn't you?
But if I'm, like, kind of, like, more jocular, I'm like, yeah, I'm drawn to a sports team. That's what I want to do. Yeah. I just get the sense that, like, the smartest people in the room aren't running, like, sports organizations. I'm not just talking about cricket. I'm talking about, like, any sports organization. It just attracts a certain type of person.
Just say all sports administrators are usually not that very bright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not smart idiots from the internet.
You know, we'll see if we can get Earl on.
He's busy. The IPL has resumed, Pez. That started last night. Obviously, you can catch the audio for that on Patreon, and so it's obviously on YouTube. Free. But it resumed on Sunday evening. There's 31 games in 27 days, lots of double headers to try and get it all in before the World Cup starts in a month or so. The Australian involvement, there's 13 Aussies there, Pez. We've got Warner, Smith, Stoinis, Dwarshuis, Maxwell, Christian, Tim David, Lynn, Coulter-Nile, Hoff, Hazelwood, Moses, Nathan Ellis, and Ben Cutting. Those are the 13 Australians there. Anything... I mean, Hazelwood played last night, and, like, it's first of all jarring to see Hazelwood in that kind of yellow. I'm not sure what I was expecting. I'm not sure what I was expecting visually from that, but it just didn't quite feel right.
I mean, he normally wears yellow.
Yeah, well, it's more greeny gold. This is yellow.
Right, yeah.
A throwback yellow, isn't it? From CSK, from Chennai.
That's the big takeaway.
That's my big takeaway from
resumption of the IPL.
No,
Hazelwood looks weird in yellow.
That's what the people come here for.
That's it.
I suppose I was thinking as well about how a lot of these players did not go to the West Indies or Bangladesh, and they were priming themselves specifically for this, the IPL, which is going to be the same place as when they're playing the World Cup. And I actually think that's good. I think it's good that those 13 players are there. I mean, not all of them are in the World Cup squad, but I think it's good that those players are playing in the IPL a month before the World Cup starts.
Yeah. Even though they're ruining international cricket.
Yeah, are they? Isn't this literally just the future? Like, I think we're just seeing the future. What do you reckon the interest is from Australians from the IPL still? Even though there's impact of, like, now these guys aren't playing for Australia, they're literally missing tours.
The interest from Australians in the second phase of the Vivo IPL 2021 out of the UAE.
Let's say 100%. Okay, give me a percentage. If 100% of, let's say 100% of the population are watching the first ball at the Gabba for the Ashes, that's 100%. What's this?
Like 0.3.
0.3, yeah, less than one.
Mate, Ollie Wines has just won the Brownlow.
Yeah.
Right? Last night.
Yeah.
You can stick your champagne up your ass.
Yep.
That's what we're talking about here in Australia, or at least half the country or whatever, maybe 60-odd%. And then who we got next week? Melbourne versus Penrith. We've got Manly versus Souths. Couple of grand finals. I'm walking around West Footscray. Fucking red, blue and white streamers everywhere for the Dogs. Sons of the West. Red, white and blue. You know, we'll come out snarling. Bulldogs through and through. The D's going to break their duck.
Yep.
That's what's going on in Australia. The fucking CSK versus MI. What?
Yeah, but Tim David's in
Tim David's a big boy. He's good. He should be in the Aussie squad. He's not.
Should he?
Oh, apparently.
I don't know if I've ever seen him play before.
Yeah, but...
he's playing the Big Bash, he's playing the 100, he's doing good things. Picked up an RCB.
It's a big ball.
It's a big clean ball.
Big clean ball. Man, the IPL's a big boy party. I'll tell you what, we watch it, right? And a lot of people will criticize, oh, you're going for the India dollar, are you? You watch it? Yes. We're allowed to play a trade. Everyone still gets the same amount that they used to get.
Yeah.
Right? We watch the IPL. Sorry, it's good. The cricket's good.
It's actually
We're not sponsored by... We don't have any Indian sponsors for this show. And yet, the IPL is good. We watched a bloke last night.
Yeah.
Gaikwad, right?
Yeah.
Ryudu Gaikwad, just so you know I know his first name.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Bumrah's bowled a Yorker, last ball of the innings, from extra fucking cover, as he normally does. This bloke, who's resurrected the innings from 24 for 5, effectively, has one knee fucking broomed him behind square for 6. Honestly, if that shot was hit in the BBL, it'd be the shot of the season. Seriously. Considering who it was.
No, mate, I completely agree. I remember...
so you asked me about the IPL. It's really good, but no one gives a fuck.
Yeah, mate, that's exactly the point.
In Australia.
Exactly the point. In Australia, yeah. I feel like and also that the times the games are on, but, like, because they're playing double headers and it's in the UAE, so games are slightly better. So like the first games in the double header start at 8 p.m. Australian time, which is like fucking perfect, right? But I think there's more interest in the UK as well because the times are better in the UK as well. So it's definitely a timing thing. But it's interesting. I remember asking Chris Green when was he on the show 2 years ago?
Yeah,
I was asking about he's played in the PSL. I think he got picked up in the IPL as well. He didn't play. He came on subfield a couple of times. I forget who he was playing for. Maybe Calcutta. Anyway, and I remember asking him just like, oh, what's the standard like across? Because he's played in the Caribbean Premier League, he's playing the BBL, and then he was like, oh, BBL, yeah, it's okay. And I remember thinking like, oh, BBL's good. The IPL is 5 times better.
Yeah.
Than the
Big
Bash League.
You know, we were talking about reasons.
The Big Bash League.
Oh, it's the Big Bash. It's the biggest of Bash.
Yeah, well, they do. Big Bash. First question, what do they do?
So it's like movie plots explained poorly.
Yeah.
Like, what's his comp? Big Bash. It's a big bash.
Doesn't that just show how fucking dumb we are?
Yeah. You got to dumb it down. But I was going to ask you,
Big Bash. Give me some chicken. Fried chicken in a bucket.
Chicken in a big bash.
Put it in a bucket. Big Bash.
And then I'll put the bucket on my head. I finish the chicken and put a bucket on my head. And then I watch it.
Dumb the audience is, yeah. Oh, you finish that, put it on your fucking head. Watch some Big Bash. Fucking hell, we're so dumb here.
Wait, I was going to ask you. Fuck. Reasons why Aussies don't get into the IPL.
Yeah.
Like, okay, timing thing, yes.
Yeah.
Right?
The name's not good enough.
But, like, I want to put it to you. You just said before, you know, Hazelwood looks a bit weird in yellow.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a part of Australia, delicate stepping around this? Let's say it was on at 8 p.m. or whatever. Do you honestly think Aussies would be like, oh, mate, you know, like we like to talk about ourselves, mate, I'll bet on 2 cockroaches going up a wall. I'll watch any sport. It's 1940 and the accent hasn't quite developed yet. But
can win the war.
Do you think, like, there's still a little bit of this, the Aussie that just doesn't quite trust it? Oh, I don't like the name. I don't know the names of the sponsors on the shirt.
Absolutely,
and, you know,
yes.
like literally, here's all the best players in the world. They're just playing for teams whose names you don't really recognise. It seems a bit foreign for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's true. Because, like, for instance, when you watch cricket in England as an Australian, like, I know where Lords is. I know where London is. I know where Manchester is. I get, like, a geographical understanding through the names, like, because I guess I've had more exposure to the West. Whereas India, it's like, I don't know where Chennai is, Ahmedabad, Mumbai, the relationship of the country is itself.
North India, South India.
Exactly. And then all the history, I know, like, broadly, like, there's some stuff going on there. But, like, I don't have the full history of it. So, like, therefore, it's just foreign and scary. So I don't really, like, know about it. Now, I'm now just being, like, Australian everyman.
And you know what, with India, because it's so powerful, that we haven't had it marketed to us as well. Like as Australians, you know, who believe that we're the exceptional cricket nation.
Yeah,
like, if you guys don't even,
well, Ramiz Raja thinks we are.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Matthew Hayden's Australian, and Werner Philander did well against Australia.
So we got him.
What?
Yeah, like, do you think?
Sorry.
No, do you think that, like, because we don't have it marketed to us either, you know, like India doesn't come begging, going, please watch our IPL. They're like, we're getting on with it, and we're going to take fucking players too. Yeah. And the players like, no, it's really good. Yeah. Really good. And we're just like, fucking IPL. And like, you know, if we go and do an IPL show, guys doing fucking IPL. Fuck's this.
Mate, that's true. That's true.
Fuck's this, man.
We could.
Okay.
There could be 1/100th of the people who would support the IPL, and it'd still be the biggest competition in the world. It's incredible. But the point being about the IPL, and
we don't validate it because we don't watch it as Aussies.
It's just fucking really good. It's literally the best players in the world in the most interesting format. I mean, Test cricket's always going to be the best for me, but beyond that, I mean, it's way better than like watching unilateral ODI series.
And that's why we're proud to announce our new sponsor, Vivo. Nah, just kidding, Vivo. Just from a
I wish
disclaimer sort of stuff.
All right, other things, Pez. Yeah. Virat Kohli is stepping down as captain of India T20. And Ravi Shastri, which is something that I learnt literally 5 seconds before coming into air, is also stepping down.
Yeah. Let's deal with Kohli quickly before getting into the real news. Shastri.
He's a good player.
Now, Kohli,
used to
stepping
be.
down as T20 captain, also stepping down as RCB captain. Now, that won't mean anything to our Australian audience for reasons we just outlined. But big news in India because Kohli is king. Kohli's the god. Looking at it from the outside, as in not being Indian, I'm like, yeah, fair enough. You know, the bloke is the best bat and the captain in all three formats of Indian cricket, like Brazil's shit. It's got to take its toll. RCB, that's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot going on there. It drops out from T20 cricket. Okay, all good.
Well, he's still playing.
Still going to bat. I liked that he also noted that he's stepping down from RCB captaincy as well. He also said in that statement that I will only play for RCB until my retirement. So he obviously gets to choose himself. He's
That's
just
right.
decided,
Yeah.
I will continue to play, looking down the barrel of the camera.
And who's going to captain RCB? Kyle Jamieson.
Ray Linwell. Brian Tabor. Ravi Shastri stepping down.
Yeah.
Now he did a great interview with The Guardian last week. Who did it with him? Duncan. Oh, God.
Duncan Ferguson, the Everton striker.
That's right. And not Duncan Castles. What's his name? He's the one who did the Cameron Bancroft.
The fight guy.
Yeah.
What's he knocking about again? He's doing some more cricket stuff.
Got it. Oh, I can't believe I can't find. Here we go. Donald McRae, Duncan. I'm an idiot.
Well, Duncan to his mates.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Love to have a beer with him. Donald McRae has done this interview with him. It's amazing. Can I just go through some of the best parts of it? I encourage anyone to read Donald McRae's interview with him.
Yeah.
I really want to say Duncan.
Dunk on him.
That's it. So Shastri said, I have absolutely no regrets about the book launch.
Fucking alpha.
People are saying
that
is,
is fucking so alpha.
He said, I'm paraphrasing, I had a bit of a sore throat, didn't even take paracetamol. During that time he had COVID. He said, I told the boys, once you're double jabbed, it's like a 10-day flu. That's it.
Fucking hell.
He's happy that he put the book launch on. He said,
it
was great to meet some different people. Boys need to meet some different people.
Fucking you beauty. Sold some books in the same
and
process.
he goes, I reckon I got it in Leeds. You know, walking up and down the steps of the Oval. There's 5,000 people doing that. Could have gone anywhere. Okay. What else does he say? He's just sort of reducing his role as Indian coach. He's just saying, listen, in India, they just want you to win and score runs. You know, finally, someone's calling out cricket for what it is. It's the same here as well.
Yeah.
We can talk about whatever we like. Any coach, any person in the game. If you win and score runs, everything else is fine.
Mate, imagine if you played in the cricket team now, like, guys, just go out there, take your catches and have a good time. I'd be getting the fuck out of there. I want to fucking score runs and win games of cricket.
Exactly. And he says in relation to him stepping down after the T20 World Cup, he said, one of my number one rules is to never overstay your welcome. Now, that's a very interesting and foreign concept in Australian cricket.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Couple of guys kicking around Australian cricket, not subscribing to that view.
Yeah.
Some we've just spoken about.
You stay until you're pushed.
Now this is the quote. Oh, you want to say something about that?
No, isn't the rule as with politics in India that like once you turn 60, you have to step aside?
Yeah, I don't know.
So and he's like 59 and 300 days, or some shit.
He's saying never overstay your welcome.
Yeah. Okay.
And then this is the one that I like the most.
Of course he is.
He wants fewer bilaterals, right? He's talking about the future cricket and shit.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the IPL.
It's like franchise cricket's fine. Players are fine with franchise cricket, but bilateral cricket, this is just one day as between teams, right?
Yeah. They can get in the bin.
Well, this is what he says. What is the point? This is Ravi Shastri, right?
No.
Done everything in the game.
Yeah.
80-odd tests. Yeah. Won everything. India, best test team last 10 years or whatever. World Championship, whatever. Yeah, big penis, famously. He says... What is the point of bilateral? In my 7 years with this Indian team, I don't remember one white ball game. If you win a World Cup final, you will remember it, and that's the only thing left for me as a coach, which is why he wants to do World T20.
Okay.
Otherwise, you bloody cleaned up everything across the globe. He's talking about himself.
Yeah.
I don't remember a single white ball game. Test matches, I remember every ball. Everything. But the volume is too much. We beat Australia 3-0 in the T20 series. We beat New Zealand 5-0 in New Zealand. Who cares? But beating Australia in 2 test series in Australia, winning tests in England, I remember that.
Mate,
How good.
Mate, I'm sick for an alpha.
Oh, we won we won 5-0 or 3-0.
Yeah.
I don't remember a fucking thing.
Yeah.
I know we won. I remember every ball of the test. Hey, he's calling it out for what it is. I don't
agree.
remember a fucking single one-day cricket game from about 1998 onwards.
Mate, I
99.
agree. I agree. But the problem is that 50-over World Cups are awesome. So the World Cups are awesome because they have meaning. A bilateral
We
has
should
no
do them
meaning.
every 2 years, like football wants to.
Like Wenger was saying. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, we
about
already do that with T20s, don't we?
Well, there's fucking 2 in 12 months, isn't there?
Yeah.
Less than 12 months even.
Schedule's good. We're sponsored by ICC.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was good, and I think it's interesting that India, who you would say of any other country, is at the top of world cricket, broadly speaking. They're happy to regenerate their leadership when they're on top. So Kohli, Shastri, and they're moving it on.
Mate.
They don't have to wait for it to be a fucking car crash before they move it.
I think this fits into like what we're talking about with the IPL. For the audience who doesn't care about the IPL, like whether it be in England or Australia, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we want. It doesn't, like we being like Australia, New Zealand, fucking probably Pakistan, Bangladesh, West Indies, South Africa, England. It doesn't matter. What matters is whatever India want to do, and then that's what's going to happen. Like that's fundamentally the thing about it, and that's what kind of COVID has revealed about. Well, maybe even a little bit. Although it does feel different than New Zealand, Pakistan thing, but it's what COVID has revealed. It's like, what is the most important thing? What's truly the most important thing? The most important thing is essentially people getting paid, because sport is a business. Sport is a TV show. It's entertainment. It's not the sport itself. It's a television program. And so fundamentally, whatever makes more money out of that, that's the thing it's going to do. And if India want to bin one dayers, then that's what's going to happen. It's almost like out of our hands. Thoughts? Hey, Michael Holding retired.
Yep, Michael Holding retired. Speaking of someone who was against T20 cricket.
Yeah. He called the IPL not real cricket. Bit harsh, I think.
Holding, though. What do you say of a man
Mate,
of
I
such
reckon
dignity?
about Holding, what a fucking king, first of all. Friend of the show.
Sounds like there's a butt coming.
However,
The commentary corpse isn't even dead.
I mean, he's not. He wouldn't,
wait, I
he,
mean,
wouldn't
what?
he wouldn't be in your top 10 commentators, would he?
We're cold. No, he...
And
he-
not,
no,
not that he needs to be.
Of
I'm
all
just
time?
saying. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, he would be.
he's in your top 10 commentators.
If
of
I
all
was
time.
inventing, if I was creating a, and I like to do this.
Oh, you're playing God now, are you?
Music festival of commentators.
I'm not going to that.
I like to do it in COVID.
It's fucking
lockdown.
Glastonbury.
Yeah, I go to my study, put on one little dim light where I
Yeah.
sit under.
Right,
It's about 10:30 p.m. Everyone else is asleep.
NASA's on the main stage,
That's right.
is
Got my pad out, my pen.
Yeah.
Music festival of cricket commentators. A couple of stages.
Yeah.
I'd have Holding as part of that. Yeah.
But that's because you want Holding to. You just want to have a conversation. That's different.
And don't tell me why I want him there.
Yeah, that's fair, actually. I did ask for your list. It's like someone saying, what's your favourite movie? Then you say it, then you're like, oh, what, that?
So he's retired from commentary. You're like, nah, he's all right. He's all right.
I'm just saying, like, I would miss him more as a... well, I miss him more. I would have missed him more as a player.
Dad.
As a dad, than I will him calling the game. Whereas someone like maybe in my lifetime, like more iconic, like a Tony Gregg, a Bill Laurie, a Richie Beno. I would miss them more on the airwaves than I will Michael Holding. That's all I'm saying.
I thought there was a good level.
I'm
of
not saying
grade
he's
cricket.
bad.
Oh, no, you've said good
He
riddance.
fucking sucks. Yeah, get rid.
Thanks for coming on the show. Don't really rate you.
Yeah, I'll flog your book for you. Fucking hell. Flog your book for you. Yeah, go on then. You're flogging some books, are you?
I've got some very...
Whispering Death.
No, here's some really deep and important insights about racism. Yeah, I'll flog your fucking book for you, mate.
There's a code or something. Champ at checkout. What is it?
I feel like Holding is quite a good, grade cricketer in terms of a commentator. He very much side-mouthed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
Very kind of pithy with the way he says stuff.
One thing I super enjoy with him is talking, like him getting like a longer conversation, like like lunch breaks and things where he can like really like go off the long run. Pardon the pun. But in terms of like ball to ball, I'm just saying like he wouldn't be in my top 10. That's what I'm saying.
When you created your notes for this section of Michael Holding retires, did you envisage just making it really clear you thought he was a mediocre commentator? Or you've just sort of walked into this corner and now defending it hard?
Defend it hard.
Yeah.
At all costs.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I've got it right here in front of me.
Well, fucking link in the bio there, Mickey. Flogging some books, are you?
I'd like to say that he's a man of great dignity. I think he's an archetypal soft, strong man that we should all be looking we should all look up to. Like, he's a guy that loves and cares for other people. He stands up to power. He doesn't give a fuck even about things like the IPL or Indian cricket. He fights for the oppressed, and that would then trigger people to say, "Oh, you're a snowflake for being like that." He's like, "No, I'm Michael Holding. I'm a fearsome West Indian fast bowler from the 1970s whose nickname is literally Whispering Death." I think he's a legend, and I loved that there was no song and dance about the way he signed off. Everybody leaves jobs and stuff differently. He would have had good reason to make a big hoo-ha about him departing, but he's quite consistent in the sense that, like, he occupies a space in cricket. He, as one of the all-time great bowlers, I believe he's one of the all-time commentators, but he knows that, like, life is bigger than that. He doesn't make it's not all about him, I think he's quite a actualized special person, and the comments you made about him.
Well, you fucking made me look real bad there, haven't you? Fucking hell. Oh, he's the most wonderful human being. For me, so.
Our interview with him is probably my highlight of
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. But now I need to defend the corner. I've gone down a path, and let's fucking defend it with my life.
You've done it well. Go hard. Double down.
Looking forward to those comments.
That's right.
Lasith Malinga also retired, but how you could bowl Yorker. For me, not in my top 10 Sri Lankan cricketers.
I just think it'd be hard to pick.
For me, he was middling.
Hard to pick him up.
Yeah, I guess so.
Fuck facing that.
Yeah, the bouncer more so than the Yorker for me. Because it comes from the umpire's hat. You can't see shit.
Yeah, you don't want to see that. Well, a bouncer can also do more damage to your head, can kill you.
That's true. All right, Pez, before we get into #AskTGC, we need to thank our dear friends, Budgie Smuggler. That's budgiesmuggler.com. You can use the code CHAMP at checkout and see the magic happen there.
Merino wool socks.
Finally.
That's your thing. Finally. You can get them at budgiesmuggler.com. Socks. What do you say, Higgos?
Mate, I tell you what. I was on ESPN Crick Info, not this morning.
Right.
And like the advertisements on the side there were for clothing.
Right.
But the other day, was it on Patreon or was it on this? We were talking about people. No, it was on Patreon. We're talking about
cricket socks.
No, we're talking about people who like wear clothing with their name on it, like like family shirts, that kind of shit. And it used to get promoted on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook would generate your own name.
Right.
It's a Perry thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's a dark comment. I'll give you the tip. Brothers looked into the family history. There's some stuff we need to sort out there. I ain't walking around with that T-shirt.
Anyway, so there's that. But like on this clothing company is selling Hawaiian shirts, and there was like they're all just like loud Hawaiian shirts, like silly stuff. But then one had writing on it, and it was like a picture of a pig, and then the pig was also bacon on a plate. But then the wording on it was, "I rub my meat before I stick it in." What the fuck is that?
Who's doing that?
I don't know. Not Budgie Smuggler. It just made me think about custom shit. I mean, you can do whatever you want, budgiesmuggler.com. But
Budgie Smuggler has been our greatest friend in terms of getting the grade cricketer up and running, and they are a truly great Australian company and will continue to be. And this, I mean, look, people know that we're just massive fans. Budgiesmuggler.com. This time it's socks. If it's not socks for you, it could be smugglers. It could be smugglettes.
How'd you go with socks with your suit when you used to wear a suit to work? When you were a suit?
I got socks that were like appropriately matched.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd get a little thrill putting them on. Because when you wear a suit, after a while becomes quite drab.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But for a white middle class scared little boy such as me.
Well, middle class, are you?
I'm not middle class for you, or?
Oh, fuck off.
Have you? Love listening to a couple of boys fight about that. Yeah, putting socks on was a little bit of opportunity for a bit of fun, you know.
Yeah.
So
A little colour.
Sock might have a splash of colour or you know, a little design.
Ooh.
Yeah, put that on. Feel a little shiver go down my body.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you're looking really pushing the boundaries today, Pezza.
Pushing that old envelope.
Level 39 corporate affairs. Wonder if anyone will see it when I cross my legs over, even though it hurts my groin.
Yeah. Oh man, now my back hurts.
That's right.
It's the same feeling how I imagine women in the 50s must have felt when they were showing a bit of ankle.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I'm not sure. I'm going to do some research about that online.
I think Budgie was talking about actually having Steve O'Keefe promote these socks.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Sock.
He's a good friend of Budgie Smugglers as well. It was a really good day at a pub with Budgie Smuggler and Steve O'Keefe in London in 2017. A few months after he took 12er. But less said about that, the better.
Fucking
wonderful company. And that's budgiesmuggler.com.
And Manscaped.
Yeah, some exciting news across from our friends at Manscaped.
Finally, some exciting news.
They've just launched their 4th generation performance package.
That's good.
Hey, listen, all right, look, anyone who listens to the show knows what we do with Manscaped. Lawnmower 4.0, a couple of extra things. The main thing is there's a fucking shaver in there for your balls, your testicles, and above. Now, I escaped. I escaped.
When?
This week.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been a little while.
Yeah. So I said that last week, yeah.
Yeah.
Felt good.
It did. And you know what?
What?
Normally when I escape and I do it in the shower, I do it when I feel like I've got a little bit of time. I've got 2 boys. It's not often the case that you can have a shower where you can just sort of ease into it.
Yeah,
you know? There's
sure,
always something else to do next. I've got to get them changed, or it's breakfast or dinner or something. You know, I'm just telling the truth. It's how life is, rightly or wrongly.
Oh, mate, that's wrong.
And so I'm not, in those scenarios, we've got to have a quick shower. I'm not really going to bring out the shaver and start doing whatever I need to do, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't have a lot of time this time, and I was like, no, it's got to be done.
Yeah.
I wasn't in terrible shape,
Sure.
hair-wise.
Yeah.
And it did the job, mate. I got it all done.
Yeah.
And this is when I was having a quick shower.
Yeah.
So I don't think we've added this before. It's time efficient too.
Absolutely.
This thing. I got out, dried myself off and everything. It was a good shave. No more, no less.
Mate, I remember back in the day, it was like it wasn't an ordeal, but it was an event when you need to trim your balls in the shower.
Yeah.
It was like you need to bring preparation,
fucking oath,
whatever. It was a whole thing. But what you're saying, your experience was it can just be
bang, bang, bang,
bang, bang, bang.
I'm not saying it's on par with I've got to shampoo my bald head, which you do have to do.
Do you?
Oh yeah, you got to
for your scalp.
Yeah, you can't leave that unclean.
Yeah, sure.
You cannot do that.
Okay. Oh, mate, you cannot do that.
Absolutely can't do that. I'm not saying it's I'm like just like washing my body, but you can get it done fairly quickly. You obviously want to take a bit of care.
Yeah.
But
mate, I was thinking about this today. I think it's actually the perfect product for us to promote on this show. Man, I wonder if people haven't got it yet. I think there's just a bit of trepidation there, and you just got to take the plunge. You just got to take that leap because it'll honestly revolutionize your experience of grooming.
If you've been thinking about it, these boys bang on about their fucking Manscaped.
Fucking bang on.
Yes, they do. And apologies, but
we want that Manscaped money.
It's just a good product that does the job, and everyone knows that job needs to be done.
No more, no less.
Who's that calling? Oh, I can't answer that call now. You get some other shit. You get a weed whacker. Do your own research on that. 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system, if you're asking. There's a crop preserver, ball deodorant, ball toner. You get all that in the Lawnmower 4.0. 20% off plus free shipping.
20% off.
20% off that product.
Plus
free shipping. Using the code TGC at manscaped.com. Just, fuck.
Hashtag AskTGC pairs. Now, one more plug for Patreon. Patreon.com/GreyCricketer. If you want hashtag AskTGC Fridays every single week, there's 58 episodes of that bad boy. Episode 59. Do you know when that's coming out, Pez? Friday. Every Friday. 59 episodes of these fuckers. And last weekend, really enjoyed it, talking about George Bush's 9/11 pitch.
It was fun.
Now, this one, Pez, also comes in from Patreon. And John Nolan, who's written in before, he wrote a poem. And he's done it again. Do you want to read this?
Oh, Can I?
Yeah, please, yeah.
Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Oh, you don't know what I've just held over you now.
Hi, boys. I have another poem for you. The last one went down better than I thought it would, and so I really don't know what to expect with this one. Could be a flop. You decide. What was his last poem?
Oh, fuck. It was similar to this.
Yeah,
It
right.
didn't mean anything.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Ready? Hang on. Let me just get this all on one page because I'm. Okay.
Do you want me to, in the meantime, find his old one?
No.
It's on Patreon. It's on Patreon.
You'll sort of get the gist of the old one once you listen to this. Okay. This is John Nolan. Thanks, John, for this. All right. Here's the poem. Dad's back. He's been interstate. He's awfully late. Dad's back, pouring his rum, ignoring my mum. Sundown, keen for a net. I begin to fret. Sundown, he never asks as he fills his flask. Bye, Mum. A really firm hug and a shirt sleeve tug. Bye, Mum. She gives me a kiss as Dad's tyre hiss. I'll bat. Dad loves a stick. Gloves big and thick. I'll bat. Straighten for 4. I walk back, fetching my ball. That's it. There in the gutter. I know. I'll bowl a cutter. That's it. I lift my head. What's that? Bright, fast and red. Mum's car, rounding the bend. I love you, Ben. Mum's car, full of her stuff. Next ball will be tough. Mum's left. Who's catching that? Dad, 'cause you're fat. Mum's left. Try pitching it here. Overtaken with fear. Lost balls. Over the fence. Heart feeling dense. Lost balls. My turn to bat. Big balls. Removing his hat. 25 steps. He starts on his mark. Sure getting dark. Dad, when's she coming back? Never, son. Not with that rack. Metal stumps. Boy, do they ring. Metal stumps. Dad says they sing. Targeted bumps. Hit me and bruise. Leather thumps. Custody. Mum's to lose. Finally, together in court. 50-50 Dad fought. 75 brackets 80. Mum's not out. A 50 run route. Baked beans at Dad's. Nets with man cats. Son meets Cheryl. Last month was Beryl. How's Dad? He's gross and unfit. His flames dimly lit. How's Dad? He made me net in the rain. Mum, please stay with Kane. Oh, fuck. Well, that was heart-wrenching.
Hey, the first time I read this, I was like, oh, fucking hell, John, where's this going? And then I got to the custody thing. I was like, holy shit, this just amped up. I mean, not much to do with that, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, John.
It's a genius. John, he must be a poet. Really. There's
or too much time in his hands.
Just the pain of, how's Dad? His flames dimly lit. Wow.
Holy shit. No one hit a bit too close to home.
Yeah. Metal stumps. Boy, do they ring. Finally together in court. 50-50 Dad fought. 75 brackets 80.
A 50-run route. Fuck.
Thanks.
Well done.
Thanks, John.
One more, Pez?
Yeah.
Joe Callender writes in. Boys! What, in your opinions, is the correlation with sunscreen, zinc, sunburn, and alphadom? I only ask as last season I changed over from cream to tanning oil with great success.
Oh, wow. Fuck.
A bit of refoil there, Joe. Nice.
Is that something you've ever done when it comes to cricket?
Way too white. Way too white to do anything other than protect my skin down here for fucking dear life.
You get a sunny day. I'm the same as you.
I reckon I got to about 29 before I was like, probably should start looking after my skin a bit more.
Really?
Yeah, because I was fucking dumb before then.
Right.
Sorry, that's too basic.
You can just be really
just naive. It was just naive. And I've had like really bad sunburns in the past because I'm not naturally brown. I do tan, but Way less so down here where the sun is horrendous and way too aggressive. So, but yeah, I'd never put on tanning oil. I never did that. That's a big
grim in and of itself as well, isn't it? Oh, here's an opportunity to tan myself up in the field.
What about when people used to roll their sleeves up and like feeling it mid-off? Made me feel very amateur, non-elite when you got guys like rolling their sleeves up. So they're like...
They're short sleeve, to expose a little bit more bicep.
Yep. But I only do that for tanning purposes. Just like that person is desperate to not be playing cricket anymore because now it's getting in the way of their image being nice and evenly tanned.
Oh, if somebody did that, that was the end of your... Like, that was one sign that your cricket career was over.
Yeah.
If you're sharing a field with somebody doing that, like, oh, cool.
But there was lots of other instances which made me feel non-elite, like anytime you had to, like, move the screens.
Yep.
Professionals don't have to do that.
Yep.
Shit teas in shit dressing rooms at shit grounds.
Organising drinks. Could someone get drinks?
Yep. Even if your team had to score, if your team didn't have a scorer, made me feel non-elite.
Totally.
So I didn't like any of that. And yeah, I guess on the field stuff.
We got somebody on the screen. It was always great to be the one calling that out, though.
Yeah, I was seeing that before. I was never the person to actually go and do it. I was like, oh, they need blokes on the screen.
Oh, really?
I could have possibly been doing that. I wasn't a team player like that. Doing covers, anytime we do covers, non-elite.
Never did that.
Never seen a professional player. Maybe Nathan Lyon, I suppose.
Yes.
But
as we hear.
Or Dean Jones running helmets out to the ground staff at the Gabba that time when it was hailing. That was alpha.
I don't think there's any correlation between tanning oil and being alpha when it comes to cricket. Like when I think of like great players or whatever, I think are usually pretty good when it comes to sunscreen. Like I mean, okay, possibly a bad example, but like Michael Clarke always seemed to be quite sun safe.
I was about to say this because he started wearing long sleeves when he was batting because he had skin cancers removed.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember seeing guys, but for fun, like they would, instead of using what you would use for sunscreen on your face, they would use zinc for the whole thing, and they'll be like Casper.
Yeah.
You know? And you put it all over your face and you realise how yellow your teeth were.
Yeah. I reckon until... Because I knew a guy... well, he's still alive, but I went to school with a guy who got skin cancer at a young age. It's now grim, but it's also serious, especially down here in Australia where skin cancer is... I was going to say very popular, common. Rife, common. And especially if you spend a lot of time out in the sun, as most cricketers do. Yeah, until you see it or you know someone who's had, an issue directly related to that, it's scary. Like when you get the first hit of then this can actually happen to people. Like it becomes less of a statistic.
Yeah.
And I say that because my dad had melanoma when I was a kid.
Right.
And I didn't realize how serious that was until I was literally in my mid-20s.
Yeah,
And the survival rate of melanoma, he had it on his head.
Yeah, wow.
And he survived. And he's still alive. But I didn't realize how serious that was until, in my mid-20s. But now I think about just even the times of, going out to cricket and, I mean, you always wear a hat. I never went on the field without a hat. That's fucking amateur. That's some English village shit.
Yes.
But yeah, I started wearing long sleeves in the field, that kind of stuff. Always had sunscreen and all that kind of gear. But yeah, tanning oil is fucking, it's funny in the sense that it's silly. But once you have any sort of relation to anyone who's had the horrible disease that is cancer, then it's like, probably just going to put on some sunscreen, eh? That's not funny, but that was just my experience.
Sorry.
Can make a joke about it.
I was about to start laughing. No.
It's a bit weak, mate.
Do you remember the feeling of at the end of a day's play and you've lathered yourself in sunscreen, but it might have been an overcast day, but a burny day, a windy and overcast, worst day, a few flies around.
High UV.
There's not a lot of sun. It's glary, but you don't actually feel much sun other than to get off the field, have a tub, and as such a fair-skinned person, it was then when you could just feel whether you're sunburnt or not. It's not so much looking at yourself in the mirror, because sometimes you might have a red face because you've been running around a bit. You can't really tell. It's just the way the sun seeps into your body and you're like, oh, fuck, I'm fucking burnt here.
Like the sun is absorbed into your skin.
And you've put so much sunscreen. You go out and circuit. Oh, you got a bit of sun today. Yeah, play cricket. Yeah. Give me another beer. Different issue.
Different issue. Very different issue. All right. Thank you very much as ever for joining TGC. We'll be back next week, and you can find us almost every day this week on YouTube covering the IPL. We're doing Watto's Wrap with Shane Watson. That's out on Thursday. The morning after IPLs, that'll be out 3 times a week. And also we're live streaming on Sunday evening.
The big one that the Aussies will be looking forward to.
What's that one, Pez?
CSK versus KKR or some shit.
Different to MKR, which is My Kitchen Rules. See you next week.